Thank you to Opera for sponsoring a portion of this video. So it's been a weird few months for me and the world for cars, but it has been about 6 months I took delivery of my Lucid Air Dream Edition. And in that time, really the entire EV landscape has shifted. We've got new cars and trucks from players we haven't seen before. We got Rivian, we got established players, Ford, Hyundai, Kia, and more, all have amazing options on the road. And Lucid's been shipping more and more cars. They've been working to sort of make the Lucid experience better than it was to begin with. We've gone from Lucid Air Dream Edition to now shipping GTs out. So there's a lot more cars on the road. There's also been about 6 software updates that have come since our initial review. So now that I've lived with the car, the shiny paint is worn off, metaphorically. Is this car still worth buying? And in my 6 months, I've put about 5,500 miles on this car, and then I had a rental, if you remember, in the early days that I put about another 1,500 miles on. So ish about 6,000 miles I put on the car, so a lot of butts and seats, and a lot of updates and things have changed since that initial review. So first, the car is still equally as exciting to me as it was when I got it. I mean, I still, when I park it, I turn around and look and I kind of give it the old head nod. The look is not for everybody. People have, I think rightfully so, compared it to some of the Hondas out there. I love it, and I think I appreciate it because the look was so designed with function. Being an EV, it was designed to sort of be really slippery, and that's why it looks the way it looks. And to me, there's a lot of beauty in that. So the aesthetics of the car are still as gorgeous to me as they were from day one, but obviously beauty is totally subjective. The interior of the car, it's a strange thing. The seats have worn really well. The seats still look brand new, but there's metal trim on the side, and I don't know how it's happened or what did it, but it got totally scratched up. Like, I don't have stuff on my left arm that's doing it. It's not where my watch would hit or anything, but just scratches absolutely everywhere. I've tried to buff it out. It looks a lot better, but that particular trim piece, it's not wearing all that well. And I'm the type of guy who uses my cars for family. Obviously, I drive my kid to school in the morning. I have 3 kids, age 8, 6, and 3, and they are all in the back. So the first thing, I could fit 3 car seats in the back. And by that, I mean 2 boosters and 1 car seat, but I could have fit any combination of other car seats I needed. So if you need a car that is wide, that's awesome. The exterior of this car looks like Mercedes E-Class kind of footprint, but inside, almost S-Class room because it's a cab-forward design. You don't need to have, obviously, room for a big engine, so there's a lot of space inside. So exterior-wise, the car's done really well. So when I took delivery, I didn't, at least nothing that I noticed, I didn't have any misalignments or things that had to be repaired or replaced. The car is worn very well, at least through the first 6,000 miles. Nothing's come loose, I guess is the big one there. For me though, with the Lucid, the thing that I still love more than anything about this car is the drive. This thing drives unbelievably. When I put it into sprint to get access to the full 1100 horsepower, it hauls. Every time I'm driving this car, I have a smile on my face, whether I'm accelerating, getting on the freeway, whether I'm using the one pedal driving and the really strong regenerative braking that it has. This is, at least in my experience, the best driving car that I have driven and owned. Now, what you want from a car might be totally different. Maybe your focus is on just 0 to 60 time, nothing else. Maybe you just want a really nice sort of grand touring car. I don't know. But for me, I love the way this car drives. And I love it so much that over the past 6 months, I'm willing to overlook a lot of software problems. So if there's one thing that the Lucid is missing on the in-dash, that would be a browser. And when you want to do your browsing, I recommend you check out this video's sponsor, Opera Browser. So if you don't know them, here are the general highlights. And they've got awesome mobile browsers as well, but I'm talking about the desktop, the Big Daddy Opera Browser. So first, it can be daunting to switch browsers. How do I input my stuff? Where my bookmark's gonna go? They actually make it really easy. There's a very simple import tool that imports all of that straight in. And if you want an extra layer of privacy, there's actually a VPN built in as well to put an extra layer between what you are doing on the internet and what the internet can actually see that you are doing. It's free, it's built in, and it works really well. So that's awesome. If you use a lot of chat apps, social media apps, it's actually integrated, if you want it to be, into the Opera browser itself. So you can get all your messages all in one window. And if you want to, or at least toggle it on and off, there's an ad blocker built in. I even use Chrome extensions if you want to sort of make this the most powerful browsing experience. And listen, if you're on the creative side and you want a place to sort of pin your ideas and sort of get that creative workflow going, there's a feature called Pinboard as well that kind of works like a virtual corkboard. And you can put up ideas or notes or little clips from websites you've been browsing to get your whole next big idea, give it a place to grow. If you want to check out Opera Browser and give it a download and sort of see if it's right for you, we'll link to it down below. I love driving the Lucid. Unfortunately, the software is not up to the build quality and how this car performs on the road. So here are some just general examples from the same day of driving. When I put the turn signal on, it should have little cameras that pop up that show me my blind spots. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. When I put the car in reverse, I'm supposed to get the rear camera and the 360 camera. Sometimes they pop up right away, sometimes they don't. When I hit the parking icon in the bottom right, it's supposed to call up those cameras. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Sometimes you get this when it's just grayed out and trying to tap to show the front camera doesn't work. And obviously these are clearly first world problems, but on a car this expensive, you do expect those things to work properly, and work every time. And with the Lucid, at least thus far, they don't. So the car relies on Alexa voice assistant to do a lot of things. And like everything else with the software, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This is the most common error that I get, where it'll tell me it can't connect to the internet, but it very clearly has an internet signal. It's not tethering from my phone, which also had a signal. It just doesn't work, and the software experience at best. And this is me just asking Alexa what the weather is today. Alexa, what's the weather today?
Sorry, I didn't get that. The internet isn't reachable.
So getting a new car from a new company, I knew what to expect, at least I thought I did. I expected software to have bugs, features not to be fully in yet, and things to maybe not be as fast and responsive. And I think in a lot of ways, I prepared myself properly. What I expected though as well was during the 6 months of ownership, things to make giant improvements and to be able to tangibly see changes and see a roadmap to how we're going to get there. And I haven't really seen that much of it. So the biggest egregious example that I have is boot up time. So if I get into the car and get in, I have to wait about 45 seconds for everything to fully boot up, for the 360 cameras to come on, and for the car to be 100% ready to go. Now, in all fairness, I could start driving earlier and just get the rear-facing camera, but if I want the full thing to boot up, that takes 45 seconds. Now listen, I know the argument, I can see the comments, oh, poor guy. This is an experience with the car, and obviously it's drivable and it's fine, but it's something that shouldn't be the case. Other cars that I've driven, when you get in, the cars are usually ready to go, or maybe a 10-second boot up time. This is still a lingering issue with the Lucid. Most of my knocks with Lucid have been on the software side. Now, in all fairness, this is a car that gets over-the-air software updates. So even actually after this initial filming, a software update came to the car that addressed a lot of the issues I had with navigation, for example. They're also updating the panel on the left side to give you more options and customization. So these are things that are not static complaints. They're not, presumably not always going to be issues, but just issues right now at the time of filming. And when updates come and things improve inevitably, or CarPlay comes, I'll make sure that we update these videos to make sure that they're kind of always giving accurate information. And again, these are little things, but things that I notice every single day when I am driving the car. It still says on the website CarPlay compatible and Android Auto compatible, but still no CarPlay or Android Auto here yet, which I think would fix a lot of these issues. And I'm imagining it'll come on the car sometime for the end of the year, but still not there yet. There's a lot of features software-wise that I would love to see implemented. I've talked to Lucid and tried to share those opinions, and I am optimistic that we will get there. But at least the first 6 months have not gone swimmingly when it comes to software. And I do, again, believe that anybody who picks up a Lucid 6 months from now, I still, perhaps foolishly or optimistically, think the software will get resolved. And if the software can match the hardware, what drivers are going to have is an amazing car, and perhaps amongst the best out there. So one feature that did come to the car kind of the marriage of software and hardware is Dream Drive. And I guess you can think of it like a Lucid's version of autopilot. When I first took delivery, and I think I was one of the first 100 or so people in the world to have a Lucid Air, a lot of the Dream Drive features weren't there yet. And actually relatively quickly, in the first, I think about 4 weeks, I got things like adaptive cruise control, and that's been awesome. That works really well. The car's got a crazy amount of sensors. It also is one of the few production cars that has LiDAR built in. That's kind of been dormant, gathering data in the background. But I don't have any sort of, let's say, advanced cruise control. Will be equivalent to autopilot or Drive Plus on the Rivian side. There's been none of that thus far. And it's been promised and guaranteed it's coming eventually, but 6 months later is still not here. That's been a bummer. On the non-bummer side, oh, that sweet range has been absolutely amazing. There are times where I kind of wished I had gotten the range version with the smaller wheels. I could get the 520 miles. With the performance version that I've got with my very large 21-inch, really not the aerodynamic tires, if I do 100% charge, I see 430, 440 miles. And that's a pretty accurate estimation of the miles that you actually get, which is great. It is still and very clearly the range king. So Lucid, like a lot of other EV makers that partner with Electrify America to give you free charging, and that handoff actually worked really well. So you pull into a charger, pull it off, plug it in. The car will handle all of the billing and payment, which Lucid gives you that for free. And the charging is really simple. You don't have to worry about fussing with apps or scanning credit cards. And in my experience, Electrify America, it's worked really well and really smoothly at every station that I've tried. But obviously, your experience might vary. The fast charging is incredible. The drive is incredible. The tech that's there, I know, can be incredible. But oh man, as a software, you need a lot of work. And ultimately, when you are in a car, I think it's the software that dictates a lot of the experience. Certainly the drive probably matters most, but second is software. Sometimes a phone call will come in, the Bluetooth won't connect, listen to music, and it'll just disconnect. I'll try to have voice assistant call my wife, and it won't work. Sometimes I get some unresponsiveness from the pilot panel display. It'll take me a while to go through menus. Or if I'm in a rush to get out the door and I have to wait for screen to boot up, I'm very keenly aware of those things and those issues. And again, I think they will improve. But for a car that costs what this costs, I would have expected not only for it to have shipped with perhaps a little better software experience, but for it to have gotten better quicker over the past 6 months. And again, anybody who buys the Lucid, maybe end of the year or next year, may have a very different experience as the software kind of catches up to the amazing hardware. But where we are right now, we're not quite there.